I have dealt with severe health anxiety, general anxiety, and panic attacks for somewhere around 5 years. And during that time, I just couldn't understand how the absolutely terrifying physical symptoms I experienced could possibly be just caused by anxiety. It simply did not seem right that something mental could manifest in such a physical way. I spent most of those 5 years trying to convince myself that it was genuinely possible. I visited doctors repeatedly, joined medical forums, including those run by heart disease and stroke associations, and asked whether anyone there had experienced exactly what I was feeling. As you probably can imagine, the answers were usually the opposite of reassuring. Instead, they pushed me deeper into the "oh my god, this must be something serious" worry pit. I'm not saying this was the only reason it took me so long to trust my anxiety diagnosis, but one major factor was that most of my symptoms appeared only on one side of my body. They pretty much always seemed to affect my left side, and of course it had to be the left side. That was the frightening side for me, as I imagine it is for many of you watching this too. If you have ever searched online for a symptom affecting only one side of the body, you will know that the results are rarely comforting. You will almost certainly find a long list of terrifying possibilities. I now understand that this was exactly what kept me trapped for so many years. Shortly before my first panic attack, I noticed a very subtle numbness in the fingers of my left hand. It did not initially feel terrifying or life-threatening, it was simply noticeable. Then I made the enormous mistake of looking up what could cause that sensation. As you might expect, I was immediately bombarded with warnings about heart attacks, strokes, and other frightening conditions. What began as an innocent attempt to research the symptom and reassure myself ended with dozens of browser tabs filled with horror stories. I still remember being glued to the screen, scanning endless information about different illnesses. I could feel a wave of fear slowly sweeping over me, which made me search even harder for an answer. Then, seemingly out of nowhere, I experienced one enormous surge of symptoms that felt exactly like a heart attack: a pounding heart, ringing in my ears, difficulty breathing, tingling in my left hand, and many other sensations. At the time, I genuinely believed I was dying and someone called an ambulance for me. At the emergency room, I underwent a range of tests and was declared healthy. I was told not to worry too much about my heart. Hearing that from a doctor felt reassuring for a moment, but deep down I was not convinced. The sensations I had experienced were real, and they seemed to match everything I've just read. I wondered how the doctors could take the situation so lightly. Had they simply looked at my age and dismissed the possibility of a stroke or minor heart attack? Thoughts like these constantly ran through my mind. Those worries never truly went away. Armed with a huge list of symptoms that I now believe could indicate a heart attack, I became intensely aware of the corresponding parts of my body. It was as though my brain could think about nothing else. I was always waiting for another sensation to appear, and constantly on edge because I believed something terrible was guaranteed to happen any second from now. Almost anything could push me into a major panic attack. Entering a brightly lit shopping center could make everything look unnatural. If something moved unexpectedly in my peripheral vision, I would conclude that my eyesight was failing and that it might be a sign of a stroke. Even a gentle, unexpected breeze touching my left arm could make me believe the arm had become numb. That tiny breeze would then make me monitor and focus on my arm for hours, trying to be absolutely certain that there was nothing to fear. And as many of you already know, when you examine your body with that kind of superhuman focus, you will always find something that seems abnormal or unfamiliar. That is how I moved from one panic attack to the next and became so intensely in tune to my body, especially its left side, that it never felt normal. You can imagine the strain this placed on both my body and my mind. My stress levels were constantly through the roof, which created an endless supply of anxiety. Even worse, the smallest sensations were now automatically blown out of proportion. That is how a mind in fight or flight mode operates. It believes we are in danger. If there is no obvious threat around us, to support that belief, it begins looking for the threat inside our body. Many people who experience one-sided symptoms may also have the more general stress symptoms on both sides. The difference is that they focus much more intensely on one side because they consider it the danger zone. This does not mean that one-sided symptoms cannot generally occur. They certainly can. During my years with anxiety, my constant focus and awareness of my left side caused me to hold far more tension there. The muscles on the left side of my neck, shoulder, arm, and leg were frequently painful, and I struggled to release that tension. I even developed a strange habit in which simply feeling my left side reassured me, in a way The discomfort itself became comforting because it allowed me to monitor the area. Does that make sense? At its worst, I slept with a tennis ball tucked into my armpit and could sleep only on my left side because that made me feel more in control of what was happening there. Looking back, it seems extraordinary, but it shows just how intense anxiety can become. If you're dealing with one-sided symptoms or anxiety symptoms in general, I hope my experience gives you a useful point of comparison and helps you begin to believe that anxiety can cause some of the strangest sensations unimaginable. Even very strong physical symptoms can arise from the body's natural stress response. The next time you catch yourself worrying excessively about your danger zone, try to deliberately shift your attention to the other side of your body. You could use a pen, massage ball, or feather to roll gently over the opposite side. The new sensation forces the brain to redirect its attention. Ultimately, overcoming this fear requires lowering your overall stress level until your fight or flight response no longer reacts automatically to every sensation. You need to regain control of your attention and gradually move out of the hyperstimulated state in which everything feels like a cause of alarm. I explain my anxiety recovery approach in detail in this playlist linked here, so take a look if you have not already. I'm certain that many of you will find it useful.